Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
All right, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Frankly Francisco podcast. Today, I have a special guest. I like to call him the hardest working man in the podcast game. I compare him to Kevin Hart. He's always doing something. This dude posts 4 or 5 times a day, constantly recording. He's starting to grow his following huge. I like to introduce everybody to Smash from Bet the House podcast. How we doing, Big Smash?
Man, you already know, man. I told you this off air, man. I dig what you're doing, man. So I appreciate this. Man, I had to record. You know what? I actually had to slow down on recording. Now I record maybe 4 or 5 episodes a day. That way, the rest of my week is pretty free. Because I used to record every day, and then the missus was like, "Oh, so you just married podcasting, huh?" So I had to slow down with it. So now I only record on certain days. So, but yeah, man, I love doing what I do, man. I love this podcast shit.
So we both married, and it's the same thing, man. We, when you get into this business, we get caught up in wanting to build our stuff up. But at the same time, we have to find that balance between home life and, podcast life. And it can be kind of tedious sometimes. Like my wife is basically my producer. She takes behind the photos, pics and everything. And she handles a lot of my social media stuff. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do this because I just don't have the time.
My wife became my co-host.
Yeah.
When everybody said no or they was too busy, she was right here. So man, when we truly say behind every good man is a good woman.
100%.
That shit is definitely true.
So let's give the audience a little background on yourself. When exactly did you start the podcast game? What got you interested in the business?
Well, I wanted to be a rapper at first, but I felt like, nah, man, it's too much. It's the rap game in Chicago is very saturated. I'm from Chicago. If you're not a drill rapper or somebody with like a huge following, it's really, really tough to do something from Chicago because they expect bang, bang, in the music scene. So when I found out about podcasting, I was like, oh, it's that easy. I mean, I talk shit all day. It's like barbershop talk. So it was like, oh, that's it? It's just talking? And I was intrigued by it. And then I ended up being a special guest host on this guy's podcast. And, the fans was loving it. They was loving me. And, the plan at first was for me to be a permanent host. But then I guess, when people start venturing out from what the show is really about and start drawing on to me, I guess they were trying to make me like a main star of the show, and that wasn't my intention. That's just who I am. So got to the point where nah, man, we just gonna have you come on every so often. You're gonna be a special guest. We don't want to.
They thought you was taking their shine.
Yeah, we don't want to oversaturate. So after that opened up my eyes, and it was like, yo, I will never put myself in this position again. I will never follow rules on somebody else. I could do my own show.
Yeah.
And I had a show. It was going to be called I Said What I Said. And then them same people went off and told one of their partners. And one of their partners took my name. Man. I had promo and everything. I was ready. It was ready to roll out. They took my name. They went and got it trademarked and everything. They made it official, turned into a LLC. And I was like, oh, ain't this some shit? So, and that was my first lesson about the game. Trademark your name. Get some type of paperwork on your name, on your brand. That was my first lesson. So when that happened, I had already was doing the music. And the music company was called Smash House. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put everything I got on this. Everything I'm with, all my money, all my time. I'm betting on myself. So that's where Bet the House came from. It just means just betting on yourself and rolling with the results, whether you win or lose. So all of this took place about 2 years ago. We just did our 200th episode. So, that lets you know how hard I be recording.
Yeah.
Because we started off an episode a month. And then from last year, I had did 100 episodes, and that was in September. So from last September till now, I just been pumping them.
It's amazing how you do that. Like for me, man, like my goal is just 52 episodes a year, 1 episode a week, because it's tough, man. I just don't have the time. I enjoy doing what I do. I just don't have the time. So my goal is 52 podcasts in a year. This year was a little rough for me because I had COVID. I was out for a while, so it kind of threw everything off. But I enjoy doing this.
I'm glad you straight though.
Yeah, man.
Glad you back.
Yeah, it was touch and go, man. It was kind of scary there for a while, but it's a lesson learned, man. I got make sure I got my stuff together afterwards, man. So this situation like this again, my wife don't have to worry. You know what I mean? Everything's taken care of. But for you, your podcast is an interview podcast as well. But what I like about your podcast is your podcast is raw. Like you guys don't care. You guys are not scripted. You guys say whatever comes off the top of your head. And some people it might rub the wrong way, and some people it might not. So, who is your target audience? Who are the people that you are trying to target?
Well, I think with podcasting, look, if we put so much time into it, we put so much effort into it, we put so much money into it, then it has to be coming from the heart. It has to be authentic. I can't make a script or worry about who like it and who don't like it. I feel like my show is a variety show. So it's for everybody. Not everybody will get it and not everybody has to like it, but we keep it real. I feel like this. It's like this. If you watch your favorite basketball player all your life and you feel like, oh, Michael Jordan, for example, Michael Jordan's the greatest. He's the greatest player to ever touch the game. Okay, cool. And then you meet Michael Jordan and he's nothing like he is on the floor, you'd be crushed. You'd be hurt because you feel like everything Michael Jordan said or did on these commercials and movies was a lie. So I try not to be so much different than who I am off camera. I try to be that same person because I never want anybody to come up to me and be like, yo, you ain't that same person that you're supposed to be. I mean, it's different levels. I mean, think about it. When you go to work, when you work your 9 to 5, you put on your business voice, you put on your best help and all that. But then when you get off work, you get to be you. You get to relax. If you from wherever you from, you can relax and chill out and stuff like that. So my target audience, I think it's just anybody who's willing to listen. We talk about everything: sports, music, relationships, sex, love, women, men, coach. We touch on everything because I feel like we have something to offer for everybody. So I don't really have a target audience. I just think we are something for everybody. And that was by design. I wanted to make sure we covered all our bases. I wanted to make sure everybody, and that's why, honestly, my men and women, my percentages is the same. It's 50-50 a piece. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me this year, where it used to be 47% women, 51% men, 47 women, men. It kept going. Now it's at 50-50. And I feel like that's what I'm going for. I'm going for where women and men, couples, and single people can listen to this show and get something from it. So that's my basis.
So we're essentially independent contractors. We're trying to build a business with the podcast game that we're in right now. We're trying to do. You've been doing this for 2 years. So for you, I know everybody wants to be profitable sometimes. For you, what has been the biggest pain point for you when it's come to being a podcaster? And what's the biggest pain point? What has been the biggest struggle for you in order to move to that next step of starting to make that revenue the way you want to make that revenue?
I think what you said, my rawness, um, which is kind of sort of why I've turned into more serious topics because this season I'm in season 8, and it's been more about having more serious topics because I've had quite a few people come up and tell me, "Yo, I want to do some business with you, but we just don't know where you fit, what lane you're in because it's always so raw, so over the top. So, I don't know which lane or so um I had one guy and this was the turning point for me. His name is Conversations with Lamp. And he told me, he said, "Man, I would love to get you on my show, but I don't know what we would talk about because my show is a little bit serious and we deal with serious topics. We don't too much do the ha ha he." And to me, that opened up my eyes on how I do my shows now because it's like, yo, I can be serious and I can be funny. So it was like, okay, that to me opened up my eyes. So no, I feel like my time is coming. I do. But I feel like in order to do that, you have to give people a balance. And if you're only giving them the humor side of you, then you're missing out on a whole nother demographic. You're missing out. So that was the basis of why things changed. I wanted things to change. I wanted to be able to fit in everybody's lane. My biggest problem was if I felt like I was doing something good, I got bored with it. Like, oh, okay, well, I mastered this. I did the comedy. I mastered that. Let me go master the relationships. Okay, yeah, I think I did good enough on that. Let me go master, the drama and talking about sports and talking. Let me go. So no, I had to switch it up. I said, I didn't want to just be good in one lane, but I also didn't want to just be mediocre either. So to me, it's a balance of, and I know, like I said earlier, we all, like you said, we all want to make money. True enough. But if you get in this game and that's the first thing that you think about is making money, you're already losing off top because you ain't gonna make money overnight. I'm gonna tell you, unless you Joe Buttons or Joe Rogan or somebody,
Celebrity,
you ain't gonna make no money overnight. It's a marathon. So I ain't made no real money off this yet, but it's coming. I feel like it's coming. My best is yet to come. That's how I feel.
Well, I think everybody's goal is eventually to be profitable doing this. But like you said, if you come into this wanting to make money off top, then you're in the wrong business because this is about passion, man. And I see it with you a lot. You're everywhere on IG, man. I see 4 or 5 posts a day. You're doing 5, and I like your style of interviewing because you don't do just one. You interview multiple people at the same time, which is unique because a lot of people don't do that. I don't do that. So like right now, what we do is we do a one-on-one. So this is my preferred style. This is how I see myself suited for this. You, on the other hand, you hold multiple conversations with multiple people. Now, if it was in an in-person setting, that might be a little bit different. I'd be a little bit more comfortable doing that. But for me, one-on-one seems to work best for you. For me. So what got you comfortable doing that, recording with 5 or 6 people at the same time?
I wanted different people to have different relationships with other people that they never had relationships with.
Got you.
Like, I realized that when I first started, I had nobody to rely on. So now I take my relationships with other people and then I put them with other people who I also have relationships with. And then I watch them grow and they link off. And then that links off. It's like a big family tree. Like, for example, I came in with a lot of different podcasters and then now I sit back and watch all of them network and put together like the ladies, 3 of my favorite people, Red Lipstick Vibes, Grown Ass Folks Pod, and Pillow Talk with the T. 2 of them had never worked with each other before. But then now they're all evolved and they're working with each other and they're growing and I didn't turn into their own little show. So I sit back. This is what I wanted to do for the game. I wanted people who I felt when I go into these collabs, I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, you'd be good with her and he'd be good with you. So let's put that together. And then the conversations turn beautiful because what it is you are getting 4 or 5 different perspectives about different things. Like, we just did an episode that just dropped this week about paying for a woman's drinks in the club, not knowing if she's willing to have sex or if she even finds you interesting enough to have sex with. So we had 4 or 5 different perspectives about that. And those are the kind of conversations I enjoy. So to me, I could do the one-on-ones. I love the one-on-ones. But I feel like you get more out of that when you have different voices and different views and opinions. So it all works out together. And then plus you watch this big old family tree stretch its branches out. So now the podcast game has legs, and this person knows this person from way over New York, knows this person way out in Cali. Detroit knows Memphis and Mississippi and all that. So yeah, this is why I did it, because it used to just be me and my wife. But then it was like, yo, I got a lot of relationships with a lot of people. Let's put that together. Let's make something beautiful and watch it grow. And that's what I'm doing.
So perfect segue. So we try to build within our own podcast community, but sometimes it's like crabs in a barrel. We try to step all over each other. We try to cancel each other. The networking turns ugly, and there's cases where people stop getting along because of petty stuff. Why do you think that is so heavy in the podcast community? Why do you think other people, like everybody should be able to shine? So I don't understand why there's so much animosity in the podcast game.
I tell you why. People are not confident in they're watching other shows, successes. They're watching other shows announce how many followers they got, how many episode milestones they got, how many special guests or major guests these shows have got, and then they feel like, damn, I'm mad as hell because that should be me. And my whole philosophy has always been, when people reach them milestone episodes or them milestone follows or get them big time guests, I'm never in the background mad at you. If anything, I'm finna pick your brain. I want to know how you made that happen. But then you have people, not everybody thinks like me.
Right.
And I don't think like everybody. You have some people who feel like, oh man, they podcast ain't shit, and they shouldn't be doing this, and they shouldn't be doing that, and how they do this. Instead of taking the time to learn, it's so much envious and jealousy in the podcast game right now. And it kind of makes me mad because, again, we are all dope. We all have our own visions. We all have our own ways of doing things. Imagine what we did if we put it together. I take it back to my movie, one of my favorite movies, The Warriors. If you look back in the beginning of the movie, he had all these gangs together, and he was finna make some boom. And then wasn't hating ass dude in the gang, couldn't stand. He loved chaos. He loved confusion. And he popped my man, and then that started a whole wave of bullshit. So that's what it's like to me. It's like, I feel like, man, we are so fucking dope. All of us. A lot of us do things that nobody ever thought could be done. So it's like, it's so much animosity nowadays because everybody wants to be on top. But in order to get on top, they feel like they got to step on the next person's neck. They feel like they got to step on. And I speak off experience because I was that person. I told y'all how they did me. I wanted to squash them. Every time they dropped the episode, I wanted to drop an episode. Every time they made a topic, I was going to do a topic, but I was going to be better with it.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. But then I learned, putting too much energy into that's way too much energy. It was like nobody wins that way. So I don't know, man. I got a black podcast conglomerate. It's with a bunch of different podcasters, and we all felt like it's bigger than bullshit. So this is why I build the relationships that I do, because I like to maintain and keep peace. And I don't think anybody around me, any podcaster that I affiliate with, me, they all love each other. And that's the beauty of it. You just got to let people know from the gate, hey, look, we building something real over here. We're not building hating bullshit. Like, if your numbers are down, we finna figure out how to get everybody numbers up. We finna figure out how to everybody work together. We finna collab. We finna do this. We finna support. We finna push. Tell me how this episode would sound to you, type stuff. So I think that's what it is. It just takes a few bunch of like-minded people to put some shit together and stay on that course. But you got to understand, not everybody's gonna be on the same view as you. Because a lot of people are going to feel like, hey, man, my show is better than yours. I don't need to be on this level with you. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do I'm telling you, I've had people come tell me, nah, man, your show ain't big enough. You know, I got 10K followers. Your show ain't big enough.
That don't mean anything. They probably bought half those followers, man.
Exactly. And I'm like, that don't mean 10K people are listening to your show, Chief.
Not at all.
So just because you got followers don't mean your show is get because you realistically, I don't judge other people's numbers, but it's like if you had 10K followers, you should be definitely looking at a money deal some kind of way, because sponsors love that type of shit when you get, when they can see that you getting 10,000 downloads and listens. Yeah, they love that shit. So,
and the funny part is, it's not even about, in all reality, it's not even about the downloads. It's more about, like, they care about who's following you on these social media platforms. Your podcast can be absolute trash, but if you got 200,000 followers, but your downloads are garbage, but you still got those type of followers, you're going to get sponsorship deals because they see you have a following on there. You know what I mean? But a lot of people now, like I said on my previous podcast, we've got money. They just buy their followers, they buy their likes, their views. It's a way to cheat the system. But then to me, that's disingenuous. And I think right now in the community, there's a large Black podcasting community, very large. Okay. Yep. Now, where I get a little bit perturbed is when we just had the Black Podcast Awards that just passed. So I asked a lady, I'm Hispanic. I said, am I allowed to enter the Black Podcast Awards? And she's like, well, if you're not Black, then no. I'm like, most Hispanics, a large majority of Hispanics have African descent.
This is why. Now, I'm going to tell you my problem with them. And here I have a problem, and then I had a solution. The problem was they were charging people $35 per category that they submitted to, right? So they probably had thousands and thousands. A lot of my friends, my podcast friends, had submitted to this. So they probably had thousands of people submitting, but they only took like 3 or 4 shows. Now, the problem with that is I felt like, and no disrespect to none of the shows, but I felt like I know off top, every category, I know at least 2 or 3 shows that should have been in this category. And that was just off of me, off of my knowledge, because, I do the Bet the House Top 50. I listen to shows. I know that, yes, these shows are great, but I know they're not better than this show, and y'all really didn't give consideration, and a lot of people felt that way. So when they did that bullshit, I'm going to be honest, I was perturbed too, because I was in one. I submitted one to one category, and the people that they picked over me, I was like, nah, Chief, that ain't it. So I was telling my wife, I was like, you know what? We should do our own awards. And we don't have a limit on what race or what color or what age or anything anybody can enter. You can enter and submit, and we're going to make this shit big. And that is exactly what we're doing. We're doing the Bet the House Podcast Awards, and it doesn't matter your color. All I want you to do is just bring your best and have your best show, and we're gonna keep it as real as we can. I'm not here, and my submissions are only $1 per category. So we're doing something totally different, because I hated how that whole thing went down. And you wasn't the only one. I had a couple of friends who are not Black get told the same thing. And that's what pissed me off. It was like, yo, BT has had white rappers and white singers and stuff in their categories. So what makes your award so different? And that's the type of shit that I'm talking about, how you will shit on the people who probably really, really support you, because you got to think about it. A lot of these podcasters ain't supporting shit like that. So you are shitting on the other races who probably would benefit and bring more to the table than some of these shows who just looking to get their name out there. So yeah, that shit pissed me off too. You're not the only one. I heard that. I got a lot of friends, man. So I heard that too, and it kind of pissed me off that I kind of felt like that was some racist ass shit in a way. But again, when you have people, you can't tell them how to do
it's their business. Yeah,
that's their business.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do my business, and I'm gonna shake the land up, and it's gonna be lit. And that's just how we're doing it.
Well, I think it's going to do very well. I mean, the inaugural is always going to be, you got to get it out there. You're going to have enough submissions. People are going to go out there. So give me a little bit more details. Is there going to be a plaque award?
Right now we got 30 categories. Okay. We sending out real trophies. I'm working on that right now as we speak. Submissions, you can enter as many categories as you like. They're $1 for each category. The only thing that I'm requesting is you email me at betthehousepodcast@gmail.com 3 links to your best show, 3 episodes of your 3 of your best episodes. That means the quality is good, the audio is good, the content is good. And then I have 10 people that have no ties to the podcast world at all. They have no ties to none of us. And they're going to sit here and they're going to listen. And they're going to have a ballot sheet. And they're going to go down these categories, and they're going to pick and decide on what. And then we'll tally it up. And those, however many, will make to the finalists. And then they'll pick a winner out of that. We're going to be fair. We're not going to be all bullshit. And this is what I like. I'm working on a couple of promo commercials to really get the ballots, and you'll know how the ballots and everything work. And then we're rolling out January 3rd, 2022. That's when we're going to do it. That way it's at the beginning of the year. That way everybody will have another year. It's going to be virtual this year, but I hope that when the world gets together and whatever, and the numbers go down and all that, then we can finally do something and bring people together and make it a real affair. So we're just taking it step by step right now, but it's gonna be big. That's how I feel.
I think sometimes we got to start out like what you're doing now. Start off, somewhere that people can get together to feel like they are part of something special and get acknowledged for it. I think there's not enough acknowledgement in this game. You have things like the Webbies where you have to pay $400 just to make your submission in there to get an award. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's plenty of places where you can submit, but there's categories. You have the Black Podcast Awards. You have the Latino Podcast Award. To me, they just needs to be a podcast show. It doesn't have to be Black. It doesn't have to be Hispanic.
For everybody.
Right. If you're good,
everybody.
Your show's good is good. You don't have to be. To me, that creates separation. That's just me, man. It creates separation. I think we should all be acknowledged for how good our shows are together. It shouldn't be in separate, different race and category. And I understand why. I kind of understand why they do it, because they want to, show excellence to, Black podcasters and Latino podcasters. But I think some of those things are shrewd too, because they're not really showing love to Hispanic. I don't. My podcasts are not in Spanish, and the Latino. A lot of the Latino awards is for Spanish speaking podcasts. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. I'm Puerto Rican, but you know what I'm saying? I'm still Hispanic. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's like the problem with Hispanic stars, like sometimes we fall in the middle. We're not Black enough to be in the Black crowd, and then we're not white enough to be in a, because you have Latinos that are white Latinos. You know what I mean? They're they're fair skinned, like guys like me who are in the middle, fall in the middle because, I got melanin in my skin. I'm not light enough to be on that side, but I'm not dark enough to be on that side. And I think that there's a miscommunication, misconnect in this community, man, that needs to get bridged. And I think something that you're doing like that can help bridge that gap, because you're being very inclusive with everybody.
Yep, I agree. I believe we gotta stick together and do what's best. And the only way we'll really ever really get any type of traction is by working together, is by growing together, is by, hey, color doesn't matter. Who you roll with doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. Your sexuality doesn't matter. Only thing that matters in the podcast game is the content. Okay, and I could care less about any of that because I have worked with everybody. Like since the beginning of January, I worked with over 120 different shows in some kind of way.
Wow.
So I just feel like I just want to work. I just want to work. I don't care about your weight, your age, your gender, what shoe size you wear, who you land with. I don't care about any of that stuff. I feel like I just want to see you win. I just want to see you. I could charge an arm and a leg like these people are doing, but it's like for what? Like it's not like it's nationally televised and we all over the world and we got major sponsors or some shit like this. So after you win this award, your life is gonna blow up and you're gonna get $1 million endorsements. No, none of that. So I just feel like, man, this is just my way of showing my people that I appreciate y'all, and we gonna keep winning. That's it. It ain't about who's on top. It don't matter about who got there first. It matters about how many you bringing with you, and that's how we doing it.
So,
I can't get to the mountaintop and have a conversation with myself. It's like I'm echoing back to myself. No, I want to have 5 or 6 more people or 600 more people up there with me, and we having all type of conversations. It's a big ass party on this mountaintop.
So we're closing out the year, man. So what are your expectations for you closing out? What are you wanting to do next year? What is a big thing that Bet the House wants to accomplish going into the new year?
Man, the biggest thing I'm working on right now is the awards. In the next year or so, I hope to have a television network, something small, but with that network, it's gonna be full of podcasts. It's gonna be all podcasts. It's 24 hours a day. That's my next move. And the reason why I'm so geeked up because I'm on a television network right now on Roku, Grind City TV on Roku.
Nice.
Every Thursday night. So I get tips from her on how she did her network. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it take a lot of money, it take a lot of time, but it's something that I'm looking forward to. Other than that, where do I see us? I see us continuing to be the alternative when you're tired of listening to the politically correct, the fall in line and know your place as podcast. I feel like we are the alternative to that because I am not going to kiss your ass to get you to listen to me. Honestly, right. I'm not. I feel like if you're going to listen to me, just know that you're going to get it from the heart. And then, I don't know, man. I got a lot of spinoffs. My lady is coming out with her show. My kids are coming out with their show. I'm doing a web series. That's coming out. I think I was telling you about that the other day. The Wire meets Family Matters.
Yeah.
Call it The House. So yeah, I think that's just what it is. It's just to get my producing on. I want to fall to the background. I don't want to be in front of the mic forever. So I feel like within the next year, I'll be fully entrenched in the background. I'll be executive producing and coming up with ideas and putting stuff together. So I think that's where I see me in a year.
So I see a lot of big things for you in the future, man. You keep grinding out, doing the things that you're doing. Before we jump off, let everybody know where they can find you. If you have any merch, go ahead and plug that. Let everybody know where you are.
Bet the House Podcast on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your favorite shows at. Bet the House Podcast. We got a Patreon, Bet the House Podcast. And shout out to Francisco, man. I dig what you're doing, brother, for real. I only really listen to three shows that do interview style shows, and you're one of them. So congrats to you and all that you're doing over here. And yeah, man, just check out Bet the House. We are different, but we are real. You will never say that we was faking with you or we told you something that we didn't feel. So that's it for me.
So Big Smash, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody, you can follow him on IG. His link tree is on there as well. It'll take you to all his sites. Continue doing what you're doing. You're always welcome on the show, man. We can always collab
Vice versa.
At a later time. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Thanks, folks. Everybody have a good night. Take it easy.
Yes, sir.